more like
from
Batman.
buildings, shoot webs, bring down the bad guys. And for the first time ever, you have all his cool spider powers.
Jim, the garbage isn't going to take itself out.
You don't just play it, you live it.
Jim?
Spider-Man the game.
How every kid imagined they would use their superpowers if they had them, using them to get out of doing chores. Okay, so towards the end of the 90s, Spider-Man was essentially bigger than ever. He was the star of a very popular animated series, and there was talk that a live-action movie was in the works as well. Because of that, Activision was eager to get their hands on the video game rights to the character, knowing that the film would, of course, be a huge hit. Unfortunately, the film ended up being delayed due to a lot of issues with production. So because of that, and because of the fact that Activision had spent a ton of money to get the rights to the characters for both, the comic books and the films, they felt that they had to take the time to get something out the door to make back a little bit of their investment rather than waiting for the first Sam Raimi movie to come out. In order to do this, they tapped Neversoft, who we've already talked about in this retrospect for their work on the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series. They figured the guys who made a game about a lot of acrobatic movements and fast pace could do something really cool with a character like Spider-Man, who is also known for his fast, complex movements. So Neversoft got to work, and once again, they made something really, really special. So the plot of Spider-Man is pretty simple. A group of supervillains have joined forces to, take over the city, defeat Spider-Man, or whatever the hell it is that villains in the Spider-Man series do. And Spider-Man is also dealing with a lot of issues from the authorities because they believe he had just recently robbed a science expo. So a lot of people are after Spider-Man, but he's still on the case to figure out what's going on and what he has to do to save the city. The plot of the Spider-Man game, honestly, isn't that complex. I mean, there are a lot of fun appearances by noteworthy characters like Dr. Octopus, Venom, Black Cat, a lot of great villains like the Rhino and Scorpion, and even a few other Marvel characters like Daredevil, the Punisher, and Captain America. I would say that its biggest issue is that it just doesn't take itself too seriously. As soon as Venom and Spider-Man join forces to fight Carnage, the game kind of loses its serious mindset and kind of goes for laughs more than anything. It is honestly very campy, but that was sort of the style of the time. As far as the presentation is concerned, though, it's pretty damn stellar. The game actually runs on the Pro Skater engine, and with that comes all the benefits that the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater had. The character models and animations are very detailed and fluid. The levels are finely detailed and pretty expansive, all things considered. And all that is very fitting for a Spider-Man game. They even got some good voice actors to play the characters, many of which came from the 90s cartoon, such as Jennifer Hale as Black Cat, for instance. It's a very well put together game, but I think the big thing that makes this version of Spider-Man so interesting is that it really was the first modern superhero game. Now, there have been plenty of superhero games before Spider-Man, but a lot of them were, very fundamental, usually just beat-em-ups or platformers with the characters slapped on them. Spider-Man was different because for the first time, you were doing basically everything you wanted to do with this specific character. You're fighting bad guys, you're jumping and flipping to avoid damage. You're swinging between buildings, you're climbing up walls, and it just all works really well within a 3D space. There had been a few Spider-Man games before this, but very few of them were, really got to take advantage of the character's movement capabilities. So, the fact that this game in the 1990s was able to pull it off so well is really remarkable. That being said, the game is showing its age in a lot of ways. Though the game does play all right, it is still very clunky. It doesn't feel as fluid as modern games in the series do. Even the web swinging is a bit basic. It's not like you're swinging from buildings or, in the manner you would in more recent games. You're just kind of swinging off the sky, and it's really more of a glorified, long jump than it is anything else. Still, also, the game is really short. I remember this game being really long when I was a kid, but I was surprised to find that I could beat it in one sitting upon revisiting it as an adult. It definitely does make the game something of a hard sell, but, for big fans of Spider-Man, it is interesting to see where all these gameplay innovations got their start. This really is the game that defined what a Spider-Man game should be moving forward. The game was a big hit, which of course led to a sequel in the form of Spider-Man 2: Enter Electro. Unfortunately, this game was another late arrival to the PlayStation, so it wasn't terribly popular, and many critics agree that it wasn't anywhere near as good as the previous game. Eventually, the Sam Raimi movie would come out, and would of course do gangbusters at the box office. So Activision immediately went to work on making a bunch of games based on that first film. It's the first film by Treyarch, as a matter of fact, actually took a lot of its cues from the Neversoft Spider-Man game, and it worked out pretty well, some issues with the airborne combat notwithstanding. It was a pretty good superhero game for its day. And eventually, it would allow Treyarch to put more time into the follow-up game based on the second Sam Raimi movie, Spider-Man 2, which took the game into an open-world setting, which is now standard for superhero games. This would eventually lay the groundwork for when Insomniac would take over the series with 2017's Marvel Spider-Man, which was one of the best video games of the past decade, and definitely the best Spider-Man game that has ever come out. Like, it is just so good. I love this game so much. Even though the PlayStation 1 Spider-Man game has fallen out of popularity and probably isn't going to be remembered or is worth playing anymore today, for people like me who just love game design, it's definitely worth checking out. But that's going to do it for Spider-Man on PS1, guys. Be sure to tune in tomorrow as we continue on with the PlayStation Retrospective.